So Terra Vista is Pangea, 11,000 to 13,000 years before, so in the past. This is from the Vibes of Cosmos, book number 5, page 50. So this is Pangea. This is the part where you see on the moon. As you know, the moon is the map of the Earth. It's like an X-ray. It's like an inverted mirror. And this is what we call the continent. Well, let me just show you first. As we've seen, so this has been done and spoken about in the past by our ancestors and all the people who knew about this. So this is how they represented the continent, which is actually what it is on the moon. And this is west from Africa. Actually, Atlantis is west from Africa, and then from Atlantis you get to Pangea. And what's this here? Terra Vista. That's why it's like Terra Vista, because Vista is view, so it's in the view of the known world, which is west from Africa. Africa is the closest continent in Atlantis. Pangea, that means all the Earth, was Terra Vista, but not millions years before, like they say, or millions of years before when the continents were united and they separated. That's just a story invented. Named Pangea because at that epoch, which was the epoch of Leo, 11,000, 13,000 years ago in the past, this continent was all the habitable world. That's why it was called the world, because all the other continents like Africa and Europe and Asia and Australia and Americas were the Ice Age. They were not, life was not possible. It was the Ice Age. So Pangea was called Earth because it was where life was possible. It was where the sun was moving, just like life is possible right now in this world where we live right now. That's why this whole thing with the resets, right? Every 2100, 2200 years, the pole shifts, the magnetic pole moves. And of course, the doom doesn't come in like 2000 years. No, when the pole shifts, only the edges of an area start freezing. Like in this case, the edges of Australia and South Africa are going to start freezing when things are going to go like colder there. So it's not like, oh, the end comes and we all die because we're frozen, like they say in the movies. So that's why it's nothing to worry about when we speak about the extermination of humanity. And Pangea is still there, that it was. We call it Terra Vista, but nowadays it's freezed in its Ice Age because, let me just show you. So remember, this is part of the moon, right? If you go back here, I'm not sure if this one is better. So yeah, the Pangea map. Now, this continent here is this here, the dark black. This is Pangea. As you can see, Pangea on the moon and the routes for the other continents. This is South America, so North America, South America. So from the Americas in a straight line here, but you can also go to here. This is Australia, I think that's Australia, and this is Africa. I think it says here. Yes, so it says here. So number one. So first, it's the age of Leo. So it was 11,000 years to 13,000 years before in the past, what we would call 11,000 minus 2,000, so 9,000 BC to 11,000 BC, if you want to look at it like that. And then here it says the distances. So you can see number one to America, it's 21,500 kilometers. So in a straight line from the north of Pangea to America, because if you want to go in a straight line, you can also go in a straight line from here, for example. But calculated in line 1 to the Americas, it's 21,500 kilometers. So it's a huge distance. You need ships and you need airplanes and you need UFOs. If you travel this distance, number 2, which is this distance here, it says here, where is it, number 2? Atlantis. So Atlantis is 2,000 kilometers from the coast of Pangea. And Africa, which is number 3, Africa is 3,500 kilometers. And then Australia, which is number 4. So number two is this line here, which is Atlantis. Number 3 is this line here, which is Africa. And number 4 is Australia. Australia is the furthest. It's 23,500 kilometers on the ocean. The closest is Atlantis, which we don't have access, and the closest after that is Africa. So if you can manage to go from the western parts of Africa, which are like the poor countries of Africa, like Liberia and Gambia and Senegal and all those countries on the west coast, you have to travel 3,500 kilometers. Let me know if you have like a submarine or like an airplane or like a ship or like an electric vehicle, which is an electromagnetic UFO, right? UFO with aliens, like they say. And that's how you travel from the known world, which is now this is in the Ice Age, as far as we know. It could be different, but that's the limited information we've got. That's why the North Magnetic goes like this, moves, and this world is going to freeze in thousands of years, and then thousands of years in the future, Pangea is going to be unfrozen again, where life is possible, and then this area is frozen. Of course, as you can see, Pangea is divided into several lands, and I like the way that they did it because, you know, it has all the habitable places. So this, for example, here is desert, and this here looks like mountains, like just like the Tibet and the Himalaya. But then you also have like these areas where you have like fields and forests and good stuff with mountains and stuff. So yeah, let's go from the north. We have from the Atlantic Ocean, we have a place called Kolvorsia in the north. Then we have New Mist, Ikprea. What else? Oh, this is the South Terra Vista Ocean. Then we have Acros and Quace. I think if you. Then you have Coador, Ultaria, Calpia, Gretoras, Teros, Relala, Fildania. From here you have Sipla, Udan, I guess. Paguas, Gibralstan. This is weird. Gibralstan, Miltasistan, Javenla, and Ibet. Sounds like Tibet. Ibet. And that's it. Oh yeah, and Paguas. Yeah, and that's the Australis Ocean, and that's it. I'm not sure if these names. Probably, if you read some mythology and stuff, should be easier to understand. And this is what I want to show you. When you see here, so Pangea is this, and this map shows when the Ice Age, when the Frozen Age, when the Ice Age was the known world. As you can see, this is Africa, and when the Ice Age is so when the pole is completely shifted, the opposite of where it is. So this is Hyperborea, and the North Pole, right? When Pangea has life because the sun moves there, the North Pole has shifted from Hyperborea to here. This is like the opposite extreme. So only in the opposite extreme is when this whole world is dead, with the exception of half of Africa, which is the half of Africa that shows towards Atlantis. So half of Africa still has life. So for example, many thousands of years in the future from now, which for you and me it's purposeless because we're going to be long dead, but for those people who live in like the known world, their best possibility, if the Antarctica Treaty doesn't change, which is going to change in the end anyway, but anyway, we don't care because it's going to be many thousand years in the future. But the best possibility for the Europeans and the Asians and the Americans is to emigrate to Africa. This Africa here, part of Africa, is like proper place to live in the known world. And of course, Pangea Terra Vista is exactly like our world. So the edges would be Antarctica, like here. So this here would be the equivalent of South Africa, and for example, this here would be the equivalent of South America, which is like the regions which are close now to Antarctica. And this here is this is the North Pole then, and all the rest is just your habitable world, which, by the way, it's bigger in a way a bit than this world. And Atlantis is the only continent that's never frozen, but Atlantis also has like earthquakes, because that's the reason why when the magnetic pole shifts, as you can see here, Atlantis has a huge problem. Because Atlantis is in the middle, the magnetic pole shifts all the time around Atlantis. And this causes major earthquakes in Atlantis. That's why Atlantis has a story of destruction in Atlantis, and the Atlanteans had to emigrate and stuff. Other places, when the pole shifts, of course, have earthquakes and stuff. But Atlantis is the only part which is always in the middle. So it gets because, for example, when the pole shifts away, these areas froze, but there's no earthquakes, I guess. But the interference of the earthquakes go for Atlantis because it's always in the middle. Anyway, I hope you understand now Pangea. It's very simple. And of course, this is like the place where you understand how the weather from Arctic all the way to subarctic, passing through temperate, subtropical, tropical, is the same as in our world, because it would be the sun moving in an analemma form, and it would form exactly the way that we have from the North Pole to Antarctica, passing to the equator. So the equator would be the hottest place here, and this would be the hottest place in in Pangea, which is the equivalent of our equator in Africa and Asia, and Central America or South America. And then the other regions would be equivalent to North America, Europe, which is like dark green. Super easy to understand, and this is how you explain the ice ages and everything else. Sorry for the long video. This is like fascinating stuff, and it's all thanks to the moon is there all the time, and thanks to Vibes of Cosmos, who explains it as if it was like a typical school lesson, right? See you in the next video.